I'm going to go out and say it. I'm a LIV guy on this podcast, so that LIV event was awesome.
Yeah, especially since, they really haven't had an event in Australia in, 2 years, 3 years?
Well,
or any golf major event.
Yeah, I was going to say the best players in the world haven't played golf in Australia in a long time. Now, Cam Smith, Jason Day, a lot of the Australian golfers still go over to play in the Aussie Open, the Aussie PGA, because typically it's at like awesome golf courses. But that was also a big part as to why a lot of the players went to LIV that did, right? Like Cam Smith is because the PGA Tour left Australia. They essentially stopped doing anything with Australian tournaments. So, it was, if anything, this weekend proved that there was this void in Australia.
I say Australia is definitely ripe for
golf,
big golf events.
Yeah, big golf events. And Talor Gooch couldn't even get to his final putt, 18 green. It was absolutely nuts. Now the tournament was crazy. They made their own party hole. They had a bunch of celebrities there for it, and you could tell they put a lot of resources into this one tournament to make it what it is. And I think that's somewhat a success for the new golf league. Obviously they're not going to be able to do that every week, but to have a hole-in-one on their party hole, Chase Koepka making that hole-in-one, place going absolutely nuts. Already when that tournament, being that it's a shotgun, music's playing throughout the tournament, like it's already a party at every event. Right. It just looks like they took it up a second notch.
Especially with one comedian making a pretty funny scene.
Oh, yeah. But also for Talor Gooch to shoot 61-61 to start the tournament. He was 20 under par after 2 rounds. How crazy is that?
How many rounds did they play?
3.
Okay. I say it sounds like they had obviously a very successful event this week. But I just find it difficult to watch the LIV, and I don't know if it's because of where it's broadcast at or what.
Supposedly it's on CW, but you can't ever see it.
I haven't found it. I haven't really been able to watch it. And then when I have, I find the shotgun starts to be a little bit distracting, a little bit harder to follow for me. And that just might be me being more of a traditionalist. Now, I'm not saying that I'm a huge proponent of the PGA Tour and what they do. I don't really care who does it. I'd like to see a broadcast where when the broadcast comes on, I don't have to wait for 30 minutes before I see a golf shot.
I do not want to listen to anybody talk about what the players are going to face that day when there's already players on the golf course.
Correct.
Just show us.
Yeah, just show us the golf. Show us, don't tell us.
And I would say, in watching the LIV events, that's one thing they do right, because when you turn it on and they broadcast it, because they do like a 3, 2, 1, and then the broadcast comes on, they'll have their reporters on the range while the players are warming up. Then it feels like it goes straight to the golf course. Right. Now, the team event's interesting, but where I think they need to essentially take it, because this weekend, on the second to last hole, Pat Perez is in the final group. There's like multiple teams within a couple shots. I think his team only had a 1-shot lead with 2 holes to play, and he drains a 40-footer on that party hole, and the place erupts. But like, he cared because that 40-footer gave him a 2-shot lead, which led to the 4 aces winning the tournament. Which it's like, they have something there. It is kind of tough to watch, but the only reason why I watch golf is because I want to see golf shots.
Right.
It's not one specific player. Just show golf.
Yeah. That's my big knock on the PGA Tour is their broadcasts are generally, you get a sports report, a weather report, commercials, and then you see some putting.
Yeah.
That's about all the golf you see.
Yeah.
You watch a PGA
you see
Tour
the leader
broadcast.
missing putts or whoever's making putts.
Yeah.
I think that goes into majors too. I feel like Masters, if it wasn't for like the Masters app, most people probably wouldn't even know what happens in the morning, because you've got the biggest, basically our Super Bowl kicking off the season, but you can't watch until 3 p.m. coverage.
That's just always been tradition.
Correct. But I think that's what needs to change in order to keep this momentum going, is there's people that go to work in the afternoon. So let's broadcast some of that live golf, some of that good golf in the morning, because some of your best scores we never see a shot from except your highlights, right? Where if you have the capability, which I know with like ESPN Plus and subscriptions, you can watch some, but as far as major championships, especially with the U.S. Open coming up, U.S. Open broadcast has always been traditionally horrible. And I feel like that's one thing that does need to change is hitting on your point is we're trying to watch golf to watch golf.
Yeah. But that's also why, even though it's weird, that's why LIV has shotgun events.
Right.
They're essentially saying, you're going to see all of our golfers on the golf course at one time.
Yeah.
Now, do I think there needs to be more players? Absolutely. Like 48 just doesn't feel like enough players, you know. And I think if they were going to piggyback off of this weekend and what they did well, they need to essentially extend the field, right, and make more players involved, more names, you know, so the golf fan can see golf shots, right?
Right.
And that's where they're missing right now because every other, you know, PGA Tour, you know, USGA, PGA of America, they're doing all this stuff that's subscription based because they just want you to spend more money to watch what they already have access to broadcast.
And what they already should be showing.
You know, and that's what it turns down to. That's everything. That's every sport.
Yeah, Sunday ticket NFL is no different. You know,
Heck yeah, I can get it on YouTube TV. Whoop, whoop. I'm sorry.
I think one opportunity that they have that they've hit on too is do some co-events. You know, men's and women's, especially if, you know, the hype's true about Greg Norman having all these talk with LPGA players. Obviously, I'm sure if that announcement ever gets made due to Saudis, there'll be some controversy behind it.
For what?
Ladies tour with
he did say that in an interview this week.
I mean, I feel like a huge opportunity is to have your top ranked LIV guy with your top ranked quote unquote for all points of this conversation LIV girl and do some mixed events.
Right. I mean, it would definitely be interesting.
Because
sure.
I think the tour does it once a year and it's one of the highest watched events of the PGA Tour. So who knows? We'll see where that leads us. I think that's one, again, just if we're tossing out ideas how to grow golf viewership, I think that could be something that needs to be explored.
Yeah, and even though the LPGA did have a major going on this weekend, and
which one of the 9?
It's replacing the A&A Inspiration that was previously at Mission Hills. The Chevron Championship, Lilia Vu, who won, first time major winner. I mean, the last few years she was on the Epson Tour, and then essentially caught fire, playing really well. But you know, the PGA Tour, they do fun events. So like they had and what I'm alluding to is the PGA Tour has this team event, the Zurich Classic, which in the previous years, how often have you guys watched the Zurich Classic?
Before it's a team event, not much.
Or even as a team event. It's been a team event for essentially like the last 5 years.
I was going to say it's been a few years. I actually think it's more interesting to watch with the team event.
Well, it's just like they have a perfect opportunity to, why don't they make that the co-ed event between the two tours?
They could.
I believe Lexi's played in it once or twice.
Before,
Yeah. You know, and that's the thing. They've had players trickle in.
Yeah.
But, well, Nelly Korda played in it last year with Tony Finau, right?
That might be what I'm thinking about.
And but that's a perfect example of giving the viewership something different because the team event's fun. And I watched this weekend, and we had first-time PGA Tour winners that are now going to have exemptions for 2 years and to get in some tournaments. These do not get them in the majors.
Right.
Nick Hardy and Davis Riley, which two young guys that are really good golfers, but they don't. Tournament doesn't really do anything for me. Like it's blah.
Yeah.
You know, and I know it's probably more of a break for the players, but
I think it's more of like kind of a mental mix-up, right? It's their one time, they have walk-in music. Obviously, Scottsdale's its own thing, but it kind of brings a interesting aspect to golf to where, yes, it still is a tour event. There's still that pressure, but you've just got a different aspect stepping into it. And I think that's why everybody loves Ryder Cup so much.
It's definitely a little more relaxed atmosphere.